Ghost 121. Did I talk about this already? Okay, so Ghost 121 says, "Do you think we can genuinely compete for the Champions League next season? Um, if not us, who are the favorites for next season's Champions League?" Okay, so this guy's asking, do we believe that Barcelona have what it takes to be Champions League material next season, right? Can we compete for the Champions League next season? I'm gonna have to say yes. I really do think so because even if we don't make the signings that we want, and we don't get, let's say, Rafinha, for example, and we don't get Koulibaly, for example, I still think that we can be very competitive. I have no idea why people say that. Oh, with this team, we're not gonna be going anywhere. At the end of the day, right? We ended up being in second place in La Liga, right? Like, why not? We can do so much better with starting with Xavi from the preseason, and we can also have, right, like when you do good in the league, you're going to be doing very well in other tournaments. That always ends up happening. Look at Liverpool, look at City. They ended up doing very well in the tournaments because you gain confidence, you gain momentum, and that's very important when you know that you are doing very well and you're beating teams like Sevilla, Real Madrid. You're beating teams like who else? Villarreal, and you're just boxing them around. When you go to the Champions League, you're gonna be like, okay, we got this. Like, we own this. We own our league, and we can own this, right? So I really wished and I wonder what would have happened if Barcelona were still in the Champions League and we were in the, like, when we were beating Real Madrid 4-0 and we were beating Sevilla like 4 something and Atletico Madrid 4 something. I wonder what would have happened to Barcelona if we were still in the Champions League. I really wonder that because that's very important. Can you, like, you see how that makes sense, right? Like, when you're beating teams like that in that way, do you not think that Barcelona's not going to do well, like, against other teams in the Champions League? They were gaining that confidence, and I think that the only thing that just needs to happen for Xavi next season is to just have more backups, right? To really have that starting 11 feel that pressure that their position is not safe, because the moment you have that, that's the moment when you really do have something really good. um so let's say, for example, right, our starting 11 next season. All right, let's get it here. Our starting 11 next season, assuming that we don't make a lot of changes, let's just assume the worst, because I still think that we can still do really good. If we have Alba, Araujo, Piquet, and Dest as our midfield, I mean, as our defensive line, our midfield being Busquets, Frankie, and Pedri, and then our front three being Ansu, Ferran, and let's just say Aubameyang, right? I'm just gonna exclude Dembele. If Dembele, it's really hard because, like, I have no idea, like, who's gonna leave, who's gonna play where. But let's just say, for example, if we can have Abde and Rafinha on the right, pressuring someone like Dembele or Ferran Torres, that would be great. We need that, right? We have the capability to make a team like that and to be in a position like that when it comes to the striker position. If someone like Ferran Torres can actually find his goal scoring form, I want him to place pressure on Aubameyang to say that your place is not safe. Like, if I come here, I'm going to be scoring goals. We need that. I also want Ferran Torres to really. This is why Ferran Torres is also very important, right? I want him to really regain his form and get into that goal scoring form and say, "Hey, look, Ansu, if you don't play well, I'm going to be taking your spot." And we know what Ferran Torres could do on that left wing. We know how lethal he can be. We know his movement. So we need his goal scoring form. If he can do that, he's going to be placing pressure on someone like Ansu Fati. Even though we know that Ansu Fati almost seems immovable, I still think that Ferran Torres can place pressure. Um, our midfield, I hope that Pablo Torre becomes that player that we do need, because if we have Pablo Torre and also Kessie performing at a very high level, they can't place pressure on players like Frankie, Gavi, and Busquets. Pedri will be immovable. There's no way Pedri is not going to be, like, on the bench at all. But you see how, like our midfield that we're going to be having next season is actually really good. Kessie, Busquets, Pedri, Gavi, Frankie, and Pablo Torre. That's amazing. If you take away Puig, if you take away Nico, assuming that they don't want to use these players no more. If you take away, who else? Okay, that's basically it, right? That midfield is really good. Like, how can, like, Xavi will succeed with a midfield like that? I see a lot happening. And then when it comes to the defensive line, that is where it does need the most work. And I hope that Barcelona really emphasize on this area because Mingueza is going to be leaving. Lenglet, I don't trust him. I know that he's just like 26 years old, but still, I don't trust him, right? Um, Dani Alves is going to be here for another 6 months, but we need like another right back. Like I want Aspilicueta, right? He needs to be. I want him to be there because I want him to place pressure on someone like Dest. Um, Garcia, I think that he will still do very well. Araujo will still do very well. Piquet still has a very strong year in Barcelona, so we can do a lot. Maybe the left back needs to be reinforced. I'm hoping that Balde can really become the player that he should be and place pressure on Jordi Alba, assuming that we can't afford a left back. Hopefully we do. This is we're talking about right now, like the worst case scenario. And if Barcelona can still compete when we go into that season in the worst possible condition, I still think that we can. We have the players that we need, and especially with the likes of Kessie and Pablo Torre coming in and Rafinha, if we have those three players coming in, we'll be okay. I think that we will be okay. Even with like the goalkeeper position, like we have Terstegen, right? Neto's not going to be here, but Benya's going to be here. He's really good, right? Benya is going to be there. Denas is going to be there. So that's what's so great about having like a great sporting director is that we have scouted the great players. Christensen is also going to be there, of course, but we talked about how Christensen is not going to be like that leader for Barcelona. He's not someone like Piqué or someone like a Araujo, right? He's very similar to someone like Eric Garcia or Lenglet. They get nervous in certain situations. But that's okay, right? We need to know how to handle situations like that. Christensen should never, ever in his life be placed right next to Eric Garcia or Lenglet. Christensen should be always next to either Araujo or Gerard Piqué. It's all about knowing exactly who to place and who to place them with. If Xavi understands that, we can be very competitive. We just need that depth, right? And I think that we do have enough depth. Man City is going to be a really hard team to beat. Like, if we want to win the Champions League, we have to talk about can we beat a team like Man City? Because Man City is starting to become a lot more like Barcelona, which is very scary, right? Like, think about what I just said there. Like, Man City is becoming a lot more like Barcelona than Barcelona. Than Barcelona should be like Barcelona, right? Like, it's crazy because City is literally becoming that team. Like, it's so hard to take away the ball from City. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen that game between City and Aston Villa. When Man City scored that third goal and it was 3-2 and they won the Premier League, it was impossible, my friends. Impossible to take away the ball from Man City. Impossible. Impossible. And I'm like, this is exactly how Barcelona was a few years ago. Like, City is literally becoming the Barcelona team that we saw a few years ago. And that's very scary because now what's going to happen when you have a team like that with Erling Haaland, right? And that's very scary to talk about because we need to talk about and have conversations about like how can a Barcelona team like this with these freaking players beat a team like Man City where they can take away the ball from us and outplay us from top to bottom in every corner of the pitch, in every area. Even yes, if we have someone like Pedri on top form, with Frankie in top form, with Dembele in top form, with Ansu, even with these players in top form, my friends, even with Lewandowski, right? Man City will still try to outplay us, and that's very scary because they would outplay us in the way that we should be playing. And it's just like I hope that Xavi knows exactly what he's doing, and I hope that he continues to try and reinstill the playing style. Because let me tell you, if there is one team that can beat Man City, it would be Barcelona, but only if they do things very well. It's gonna take time. It's gonna take a lot of time, and we need certain transfers to happen. But the only team that can outplay City would be Barcelona itself, because what City wants to be is what Barcelona used to be a few years ago. And if Barcelona can reach that level on what they used to be, I think that they have the capability to outplay Man City, but it's gonna take work. It's gonna take certain transfers to make that happen. These players need to understand what is required to be at that level, to play how Barcelona should be playing, because it has been taken away from us over the past 5 to 6 years, and it's very hard to get that back. City have been working to play like this for the past 4 to 5 years, and they have finally nailed it. And now imagine what's going to happen with someone like Erling Haaland, right? And so Man City is going to be a very scary team. I have faith that Barcelona can continue to work in that way. It took Man City about 3 or 4 years to get to this point. Barcelona, it could take 3 to 4 years too, but this is like home. Barcelona, the only reason why City is City is because of Barcelona. Barcelona knows, right? They know they did it before. They can do it again.